away from the competition when it comes down to showing what they are capable of when it comes to these end games here. But again, like you just kind of briefly mentioned, this is only the second round, right? Now that we're getting into game 3, we're kind of starting to get ourselves situated here. Everyone's got a feel for the landscape. We got a feel for the dynamic of the way the world's going to kind of, you know, come to shape. And let's also think about how those games ended, right? They were very similar zones, so it makes sense that the same teams are still up at the top, right? Playing as consistent as they have been. Let's see if we get a little bit of a different end game this time.
This time we're going to be able to see the Shining Span fight right out of the gates. Straight up on the bridge, trying to grab the floor loot and immediately put it to use. Donnie goes down, eliminated fully. Yusuf down on the other side, but they haven't been able to clean him up yet. Phenom doing a good job of holding him off, and Prom, aka Craze, is going to be the last one left for his team down below. And as soon as they do get this revive off, I do believe they're going to push in and try to get that elimination.
Yeah, we talked about how Shining Span isn't really a draw spot set up to go the distance. It's either you put it all on the line or you don't. Phenom, Yusuf starting to make their way in, spending that very precious metal there. Prom somehow gets Joji up and slips away, gets a couple heals off. That could be the difference maker here, but no, Joji goes into the water. That's going to be dead fish there in a couple moments, but some counter fire coming here.
That was perfect timing for those shots to come in. Almost felt like he was going to try to drop onto Joji, but Yusuf does on the other side. Probably hearing the communication coming in for how weak he actually is. Pump and dump in his hand. A little bit of a bait. No one's going to fall for it just yet. As Joji just peeking over the top. If you land here as long as they do, you got to know how long the zip line actually takes so you know when somebody jumps off it early. Phenom gets the elimination onto Craze up above the bridge, and now a 2v1 is going to be solidified here.
And there it is. Joji just baited out, recognizes that there isn't much that he can do. And this fight comes to a close here pretty quickly. They'll have plenty of time to go ahead and resituate themselves. Meanwhile, plenty of other teams officially getting eliminated in the game as all of this is unfolding here. So game 3 off to a pretty hot start.
Yeah, and there's another team, literally, you can kind of see them coming in at the end of this fight in the minimap, going after that armored vehicle. So they got to be careful for that reboot, because they can easily try to push on over. As Noah plays, Chaos Gaming, Kazis starting off this game pretty well. 2 eliminations right out of the gate. They're almost looking like they're looking for that solo that might be left behind. I don't see him in the minimap just yet. I do see an arrow at the bottom left, so he maybe found a time to disengage on out. So for Noah plays, Chaos Gaming and Kaz's, this is the start that they want. This could be like a little refresh moment for them in this tournament.
Yeah, it's their first set of points right there. So hard fought and well earned after the first 2 games. They were eliminated pretty much off the gate there, not winning their contested draw spot. Here's a fight that has also been back and forth. I made the joke to Jacob, you know, who's counting? Well, we are. It's 1-1 right now as we're starting to tee up game 3. Much different, right? As both sides are kind of situated this time around as opposed to a full-on 50-50.
Yeah, it just seemed like Bryce, Osid, G Money, they didn't want to take that 50-50 fight. They went on top of the mountain this time to grab their loot. While Zonda, Evan, and Sandman, they went underneath. A similar strategy they've been going all day long. But in the third game, this is where the difference start to really peek in as they're trying to make their way towards that back forest underneath Mass Meadows. And even though they don't get any eliminations, this is a certain win for Osid, G Money, and Bryce. They got a good amount of surge for this early game, and now they have priority over that mountain.
And just to give a little nod of appreciation to Bryce, G Money, and Osid, even though they were the first team eliminated in game 2, they're at 13th right now. So they did have a strong game 1, just to kind of show you guys and emphasize how good of a trio they could be if they could break loose. Aegis Boyo and Acorn have almost done the same, but they've struggled, it seems like, to kind of break out of that cursed 7 zone. 7 zone seems to be the bane of this trio so far. If they can get past the mid game with a little more material, they are likely to set themselves up for a victory royale as our reigning champs and leading into the second major. But here, Jacob, we have a little fight breaking out once again here for Curve, Shadow, and Tyler.
Yeah, they don't just want the uncontested Demon's Dojo. They want uncontested surrounding areas as well. So as soon as they see that team floating around trying to get a little bit of loot, they immediately try to pounce on. Now that they got their surge, they're just going to go and continue their way back on over towards Demon Dojo, especially since the zone might be a little bit too early to tell, Monster, but it does look like it is pulling a little bit towards the south or maybe centered up instead of a straight north zone.
Yeah, those northern zones have been plaguing all of EU as well today, so I think the trend continues. Creon, Tony, and Noisy continue to just flex how good of a team they are. And this is a surprise for me, but they just seem to be in absolute shape and form today, holding their own, even now against the likes of, once again, Noah, Chaos, and Kaz's.
Really comes off the back of the big changes to Pump Power. They get the dill bits, they get some gold, they get priority over the Mass Meadows vault, especially with Clix, Yamzo, and Higgs not even necessarily making their way on over throughout the day here. Different strategy formulated in Division Cup Finals this last time around as he returns to the scene. Creon trying to break his way in. Tony does go down. He's trying to save it. Tosses the body back into his territory. And this is where him and his teammate can try to go for a quick double revive here. But they're immediately trying to break their way in. Creon is trying to hold the pressure back. Noah plays, gets the wall. Spraying him back the best that he can. Creon continuously getting pressured more and more. There's a whole nother team there, Monster, now making their way in.
I was gonna say, surely they think that they got the pickup already, right? Like, look at how much time has passed, but Noah and Chaos are relentless with the pressure here. It seems like they've made the right call to continue to take this fight so far. Chaos Gaming trying to get these heals down and out. But watch how it's playing out here. Still playing off the back foot. Creon and Noisy just trying to buy themselves some time, but the K-Polar and Cynics haven't even found the chance to jump in. They're just listening, watching, waiting for a moment, and finally they find it. This is on to Chaos Gaming. And with that, Noisy and team get a little minute to breathe, but Creon is already back on the offense.
Yeah, for him, that's our damage. That's our eliminations. Already going through 6 of his splashes to get himself
crazy.
in a much better fighting position. You see him reuniting with Tony yet again. So more of those splashes are going to come out. Noisy on the other side has a little bit of elevation, taking a quick couple of cheeky shots, just try to get the pressure off, and this is going to be their opportunity to disengage. I see them making their way back on over towards that black market area, maybe re-up on some splashes if they have enough gold left over.
Yeah, part of me for a second there thought, like, wait a second, there has to be miscommunication. There's no way he's pushing a full trio that just showed up, right? So I think they kind of recognize, hey, wait a second, let's get our bearings back under us. Let's just go ahead and get out of here. We got enough damage, got a couple elims. They're content with that. Polar, Decay, and Cynics gets to see another day as well as things kind of simmer out. So we do a little kind of loop around the world. Our number 1 seeded team so far here in game 2, Cold Ritual and Peterbot, sticking to the strategy here, playing these separate areas, just mass controlling terrain right now with these big bases, fishing for tags from other trios, as you kind of expect here, right? And look at this, they are at 181 points. It's got to be intimidating to start seeing that consistency creep.
Yeah, especially when they're straying away from their entire game plan. And you talk about game plan for Major 1, afterwards the Division Finals, then putting up elimination records, then putting up point records, then putting up damage records. Now it's all slowed down. They cannot continue to keep taking the risk to fight player after player, team after team. So they got to take that slower approach, just like everybody else. The Bermuda Triangle, some would call this right now, between 3 different teams. The abundance of extra heals over on this side of the map. Lucky for Bucky, Okus, and Cam, though. They're positioned right next to that black market, and they did already go in and get that mythic drum gun out before anybody made their way over.
This is one of the keys of success that we've seen so far, the mythic drum gun. Almost slept on to some degree, right? As far as a key item that trios were looking to secure. But
no.
Give it a second here. What's going on right now? Another kind of battle unfolding here. We haven't seen Naps' team be too successful so far here on the day. Most of these early game fights have been learning experiences for Naps, Ire, and Cyrus. Can they get a dub under the belt?
even can't amplify. I've been going through the trials and tribulations through the day, switching up drop spots, trying to get some sort of momentum going, start to build that confidence. But Zyre sneak up on the other side. Shots continue to land on Decat. No real big haymakers yet, but all it does is take one, especially since they're fighting into zone, deep into zone just like this. But the tables are turned. Naps is actually going to be the first one going down. Siphon just in time to keep Amplify in a healthy situation. And he finally reunites with Shiny Cat, so this brings it down to a 2v2. A huge advantage lost on the other side.
Yeah, Amplifying Cat, you know, this is where they've been earning their points, you know, game after game. This is kind of what's kept them in the running so far. This fight right here. But Cyrus's trio finally showing a little bit of life, but not for too long. It was super short-lived. Zyre gets taken out there, and all of a sudden, all that momentum that they were starting to build up, gone there in one brief moment. Look, they're at 5 elims, right? You have to assume it's off the back of these re-pickups, right? Allowing teams to get those reboots.
I was wondering how they caught him off guard. He tried to hop through the window thinking he was being sneaky. They got that security system set up. There is no sneaking around our house as they take both of those players down. Solo went north to try to get some sort of heals, keep himself alive long enough. But I got some bad news, Monster. I thought this was going to center up, maybe a little bit of Western lead. We might have another north zone.
Yeah, we are seeing a little bit of that. Notorious Magic Moss is back in the name there, down at the bottom right. We'll see. Recouping Curly. I mean, if you're these trios, you are extremely happy about this. There's a direct correlation between where the zone ends and how these teams, in general, right, perform against the zone. And so far, it has been in Reed's favor. And if it continues to stay like this, hey, we're gonna see them at the top.
I know. Oh, what? G-Money landed some shots. Zonda going down due to the zone. Now it's all about just trying to figure out where he actually went down at. Shots coming in. G-Money slowing down, reapproaching the situation. Even with the cleanup coming in, it's Bryce that's going to go down, clean up that elimination, keep them going. And a very different look to their game. Instead of contesting the 50-50 right out of the gates, they took a slower approach, went to the overall top of the mountain and the backside on the south end. They got their loot, early storm surge, and now look at them. Even though they are deep in zone, when it comes to damage, I think they got themselves a lot of flexibility because of their early game.
And again, clearly, this is a team that can perform very well. This is a team that after game 1, they found themselves just inside that top 10, and then they were the first trio to get eliminated in game 2, just to get you caught up. So right now, they're showing us the signs of their strategy that clearly is successful if they can make it past the drop. I don't anticipate them to take any more 50-50s. I'll tell you that if they make another top 10 this game. For Dozer, Aiden, and Atmos right now, they're just sitting in the zone right now, kind of waiting this one out here, trying to see if they can make it through the lone wolf. But we all know that Clix's trio does tend to stay there for quite some time, especially when the zone is right on top of them.
Oof. Bryce in that early game damage, he goes down to the storm. You see him looking up. They know Clix's entire team landing over there. A huge late switch up of the strategy coming into the last division finals. They no longer kind of make their way over towards the black market, especially when it is in zone. You see it there towards the north, just outside of Brutal Boxcars. That's going to make it a little bit harder for Clix, Higgs, and Yamzo to make their way on over safely and see if there is any splashes or resources left on by. So they're going to be hoping for a south pool, so that way every team has to rotate away from it, and then that gives them a little bit safer access to it.
Just looking at Tony, Noisy, and Creon's situation right now. Oh yeah, look at this zone. This is almost a mirror game, back to back to back, as things are starting to position up here towards the north. So is very clearly going to favor these north teams once again here. For the Lone Wolf layer, we get to watch it from their perspective. Higgs, Clix, and Yamzo. No elims just yet, but again, their goal right now is to find damage, find tags. Like the quick stat there too.
Yeah.
Giving them the one of the most consistent trios basically on the region.
Yep, top 5s in 57% of their games. I think I get top 5s in maybe about like 10% of my ranked games. A whole different beast, but it just shows the skill level is just above and beyond for a lot of the players in this lobby. The zone pulling all the way on over towards the eastern side. That might be a blessing for Clix, Iamzo, and Higgs if it continues to pull away from the black market. They do have that gold that they haven't been able to spend, so this could be a chance, a small one, but a chance for them to access that black market and get whatever splashes are left behind, because Noisy, Creon, and Tony, they also access that vault for those splashes.
Oh, look at this. Muzzrise and Japko finding tags onto Noah Plays here, who's still, by the way, by himself, just kind of hiding out in the facility here. For how much longer can this go down? I don't know, because the surge is active. Surely, if we jump over to Noah's perspective, he has to be one of the lowest, right, of anyone in the lobby. But oh, snap. I think Cirque might have caught wind of this solo inside the builds. We'll see if that trio ends up taking him out. Meanwhile, Tony, Creo, Noisy have made their way to this kind of safe zone here. They've slowly moved their way out of the brutal boxcars, ever so slightly to the north here, for more favorable vision of the field. And wait a second, I might have talked too soon. Noah got a knock, but unfortunately couldn't get the finish. So yes, it was a brawl that took place, and here it is, the next update. We're just gonna keep pulling north.
A blessing there for the teams that are already in the zone, because typically you would want to think, do I stay where I'm at? I'm already in zone, don't need to go ahead and use any materials. But no, you know that whole north side of the map is uncontested. Very, very little teams will be able to survive there and stagger themselves into the zone, so you can kind of free up space, get away from a lot of the teams that will end up crowding that south side of the zone overall. We know it's going to end up stacked, and if you're not prepared for that, good luck to you. Taki, Ishu, and Bert, they landed the north side of the map, so another zone that is going to bless them just a little bit. 67 above the damage threshold, though. They have the confidence to know they're not going to take damage, but in the back of their mind, they know things can change in the blink of an eye.
You know, NA really bringing a new meaning to why it's called North America. Like, at this point, if you're not landing magic mosses, you're not doing it right. Ishutaki, Verto are going to be forced to fight here. So are Coop, Ree, and Curly. Okay, this is an extremely big clash going down here. And now Coop opens up from the side angle onto Ishu. So they find the damage that they need to buy them a little bit of relief. However, they have to very likely push this one to the end.
Just a little bit too risky for their liking right now, especially since they do got themselves a safe spot in towards the zone. And you're seeing them every 7 seconds now, going to be taking 25 damage due to Storm Surge. Only 16 below. One shot from literally any one of their ARs will put them above that threshold. Bryce even goes down. He's been having a few struggles trying to make it throughout the course of this game. And you're seeing from 16 below to 167. Like I said, things can change in the blink of an eye, and if you're not prepared, it's going to get tough in order to survive.
Yeah, all that means is the competition is getting active, and talking about the competition, they get chopped out from down low. The free edits are ready. A beautiful code from Ishu, though, to set things up and give his team a little moment, a little chance at success here. The damage was good, but his teammates already down. They might as well go for the finish here, but they lose track of the trio. Maniac and company get away there, and now the zone reveals another northern pop for them here. This is going to continue to push further and further away, jumping into teams that are looking to position up early there. All the big boys, all the big names are here. Peterbot is as well, and fighting instead of healing here, waiting for his team. This is the confidence that exudes out of this trio right here is incredible. And look at this, Jacob. They're already at 3 elims as well this game.
Yeah, 400 damage above the threshold, all the way from Crime City. And this is the scary part of the game, because now they start to get that confidence as every other team start to rotate forward. Only one more team to their right slowly trying to make their way forward, and that's where it's going to get dangerous because they have to rotate too. We're seeing how the fight even started and broke out. They're only 146 damage above the threshold at this time. Aviv, Skittles, and Chimp likely below, forced to take a fight. And there goes Cold, making all the right moves at the right time to get all 3 eliminations.
Such a big moment for them, and that is really the difference maker as to even why they're above the threshold right now. It's those eliminations they just picked up. So clearly, even though they're playing a different strategy, it's not the most consistent. Their damage has been borderline all 3 of these games. With the rotate right here, Peterbot is trying to get ahead right now. Focus starting to come in. They're saying, hey, we got enough mats to do something big here. but it seems like they're playing a little too fast. This costs them a bit extra.
They know they still got to rotate towards the zone, and it's just Peterbot, the constant target throughout each and every one of these rotations. They took what you said serious in that last game. He's a little bit of the bait, kind of freeze up Cold and Ritual to start to make their way over towards the zone. The majority of the lobby here having a pull. A lot of them already going to be stacked up on the front side, 381 for some. And you're seeing how Iamzo, Higgs, and Clix were able to find a couple of eliminations here, but most importantly, the damage.
Look who's playing for high. Curly, Coop, Reed here on the low ground, but you got Tyler on the high ground potentially looking to play for the win right now. Hold up though, big damage coming in here for our team well inside the top 3 right now. Continue to maintain the pace here. Now they haven't picked up any elims, but they are starting to approach the point where these placement points are going to start being given out. Meanwhile, finally, Angers, Boyo, and Acorn have some a break right in the end game. Every time we jumped in with them, things have been kind of rough, kind of crazy for them. However, now they seem to slow down the pace and say, hey, let's not go for high ground. Let's just play for some mid-ground positioning here and just make it all the way through to the end where they're shining the best.
Shadow Curve and Tyler, since that last zone, you called it that they took that high ground, and now they're just kind of trying to hold on to it, pressuring teams down below. You see the proactivity formulate from Tyler. If it pulls that way, we got to quickly run, connect to the zone, being very, very careful not to get chopped down. That's going to be Curve holding their backside position in the zone as Peterbot, Cold, Ritual looking to get aggressive yet again. They don't find the opportunity to get that elimination, so they slowly back off. But only 55 damage above the threshold monster. Not where you'd expect them to be. Reed goes down. There's a lot of pressure now onto Curly, even with elimination onto Phenom. This is his only opportunity. As they go for a revive, he has to match it and drop that Med-Miss smoke.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a very important pickup right now for Curly. But no, he just gets distracted there in the final moments. He's going to end up playing the Med-Miss, but that means the team could play it too if they want to and go for the fight here, but they get the Siphon. Heals there, and then turn tail looking for the escape. Meanwhile, Higgs, Clix, and Iamzo front side of zone, sticking true to the strategy. This is probably the most consistent we've seen from any of the trios in the game so far. Now as game 3 starting to heat up, Acorn though, Boyo, Agers are on the front side as well. They know how to do it best too. Meanwhile, on the ultimate load, we haven't seen Booga Threats and Rapid down here, but everyone seems to be adjusting here coming into this 3rd round.
Yeah, even Curly in the backside of the zone taking a cheeky attempt and trying to get damage. Misses that one. And a new team is going to be on high ground. That's Rise, that's Yapko, that's Muzz. 9th zone. It might have been too early for their opposition, but now it's theirs for the taking. Looking down all around the front side of the zone, even the back, trying to pressure teams into an altercation. Peterbot down below finds a quick elimination, getting him the Siphon, and what's most important, the materials to keep himself going.
That's exactly what we wanted to see from Peterbot. Him actually making it into this end game and starting to really turn online, but it's going to be at the hands of Acorn as he gets crushed under the weight of Peterbot's shotgun, and so does Curly. And all of a sudden now, they have the points and a little bit of footing underneath them to try to do something bigger here. 8 teams remaining in the game. Big points starting to be earned right now. A little bit of a late stay for the Med-Miss, but they are starting to fizzle out. They're going to have to make a move. Meanwhile, here's Higgs, here's Clix, here's Iamzo, sticking true to the strats. It's looking so well here too. Exet Higgs, the recent signing, one of the best now, really starting to turn online as well.
Making sure to keep every team
collapse here.
From looking out back at him on the backside of the zone. That was perfectly played by him, but you see the 2 teams, the superstars on the low ground, back of zone. Cold goes down, Peterbot follows, Ritual left by himself. Even with the Med-Miss smoke, he is on the clock, getting stuck behind the mountain. He goes down as well. Top 5 for them in this game as Threats, Booga, and Rapid strike yet again, taking them down once more. But Threats is now getting revenge. He's getting tick after tick for the zone, barely making it in with 12 HP. He still has the chug, but there's no time for him to pop it. He's getting pressured from all around.
And it's incredible work by Clix's trio. They are the disruptors right now. Threats lands on his teammate, but no, he gets taken out. Iamzo with the side angle and the cleanup. Look at all the loot they managed to secure off of those 3 eliminations right there. All of a sudden now, Curve comes down as well. gets a taste of that medicine there too. And this is a 3v3 situation. Muzz and team jump down. They're going all in. The bats are out, and they're starting to go for the swings here.
That first one was a miss, but that's only going to be strike number 1. They use that as an opportunity to try to make their way to the front side of the zone, but Higgs goes down. Clix gets a knock of his own onto Yapko, quickly trying to box that one up, but he cannot get the loot. There is no time. Up above is Muzz. It's Yapko. They're trying to put the pressure on, but Rise goes down, bites off a little bit more than he can chew. 1v1, Clix versus Muzz, and Clix fans rise because he takes the game over.
Little bit of friendly fire right there amongst the X-Set boys. However, Clix, the man himself, stamps it with a victory royale. And I was just about to say, who better to be in a box-to-box situation than Clix, but he didn't even have the match to beat it. Look at this one more time, though, Jacob. What a game for Iamzo here. And again, Higgs's delivery there too, just the heart to jump in the boxes, but these eliminations from Iamzo really changed the tide.
Yeah, I think it was like 3-4 eliminations late into that game, and even trading shots here to make him weak. Clix was in a 1v1 situation here. Iamzo was the distraction, so Clix gets the elimination onto Rise and eventually onto Muzz. He gets revenge on the team that let him go just before that last major, but game 3 is done. Zeke, Kelly, and Vivid, we need some help breaking down all that action.
That's cool. Something cool happened. Something cool happened, Kelly.
Zeke?
Did you? Kelly, something cool happened?
Yes, Zeke, something cool happened.
Clix gonna be here!
Yeah, what just happened, Vivid? Clix coming out on top. It was a high ground versus low ground 3v3. We see this so often, and more often than not, it's a high ground that's able to win the game. But Clix said, I'm not done yet, Vivid, and comes out with the victory royale for game 3.
I mean, there's so much that we could break down about. We could break it all down, Kelly. Zeke will just be over there screaming the whole time. There's so much we could talk about with that trio actually winning that end game so clean. And the part that I really like the most, the one that I want to hit home the most on right here, is that, you know, Kelly was kind of hyping up this, hey, you know, they keep playing for that front side of the moving zone, but this game, the adaptation was made, right? For whatever reason, they didn't actually play towards that side. They were kind of playing off to the side, right? Letting people kind of take that space from them, getting shots in from the side, picking up the eliminations, and it worked so well when Booga's trio was found over there. And then, you know, just worked so incredibly well for them. They were able to take that space, find the resources to actually put themselves in a competitive 3v3 situation to win the game. Kelly, what a beautiful game.
You know, we got the kid stats, so I asked him if I could see the damage numbers, but from Zone 9 on in our most recent Eval Cup. And it was actually Iamzo and Higgs that were in first and third place respectively out of all the people competing for damage from Zones 9 and 12. And I think this game was a perfect example as why.
Yeah. I mean, also, hey, we got to mention, you know, Jacob screaming, Clix fans rise. Clix also being the one to pick up every single one of those eliminations on the final trio right there. Played to perfection.
14 elims is crazy. That is just game number 3. We've had 3 unbelievable games on NA. It is so crazy to think we have another 3 to go today and then 6 tomorrow. It is shaping up to be a fantastic evening of Fortnite. Congratulations again, Clix, Iamzo, and Higgs. 14 elim victory royale. I love to see that. For now, though, we are going to go to a break. When we return, we'll discuss a few more things that happened last game and then prepare ourselves for the second half of the competition. So we'll see you real soon.